the beginning, there were 6,865 hopefuls. 2 massive rooms filled with hundreds of tables. Each player dreaming of gold, of fame, of fortune.
Oh, I want to win this pot really bad. Really bad.
The hopes of thousands have been crushed.
Why? I don't know why.
And only 14 remain.
I mean, the odds of making a run this deep are pretty slim.
Just 2 tables are left, and the only question on everyone's mind is, which 9 will make November? Welcome back to the 2011 World Series of Poker main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Tonight is the night. 5 will go, so 9 can advance to the final table. All signs point towards Ben Lamb in the November 9.
I marked Ben Lamb on my calendar for the November 9 months ago, Lon.
Irishman Owen O'D is comfortably in second place.
I checked his medical charts. He is genetically predisposed to make the main event final table.
But it's chip leader Anton Makievsky who has dominated day 8.
He's 21, going on 33 million chips and maybe $8.7 million.
Here's a look at the top 9 right now. Collins and Lamb have played well all main event long. Bob Bunara is the oldest player remaining at 49. 5 players on the outside looking in, including former Texas Longhorn Matt Giannetti.
South African importer-exporter Costa Mamaliadis, the short stack. He better start importing.
Final table is so close. You should be afraid.
I busted 14th in this before. I lived. Do it again.
Busted 14s? Where?
2 years ago, I got 14th in this event. Yeah.
At main event?
I'm on a bubble right now.
You busted 14s in the main event?
2009.
Wow.
So I'm on a bubble right now.
You're really the luckiest player in the world.
I got unlucky in that. Ace is cracked for 18 million.
14 players left, 2 7-handed tables. The blinds at 120,000, 240,000, 30,000 chips is the ante. A night where 9 players will make the November 9. Folded to Ben Lamb, King 9 of hearts. You can hear Phil Collins fans in the background.
Yeah, those are all the singers who auditioned for Genesis and didn't make it.
Lamb made a raise to 525,000. P.S. Hines folds his button. And there are Collins fans. He's playing over on the secondary table. Giannetti in the small blind. Queen deuce folds. Bob Bunara from Belize. Ace 10 of spades.
He plays twice a week at the poker room in Belize City that he's one of the owners of.
He makes the call for 285,000 more, and we'll get to see a flop with Ben Lamb.
Heads up.
All right, here's the flop. 7, 6, 9, 2 spades. Bunara with flush and straight draws and 2 overs to the board. Bunara checks.
Lamb with top pair, but he might prefer Bunara's hand, which is favored.
Ben not checking. He bets 650,000.
Bunara studies the board. Ben studies Bob. Oh, look, it's like an old Marx Brothers routine.
Bunara not going anywhere with that hand. Makes the call.
Bunara decides not to push the draw.
All right, turn card. Another 7. Lamb with 2 pair. He is now favored.
Yeah, the percentages just flipped.
Check.
Bunara checks his 2 draws.
Now you can read me better. No glasses.
Appreciate it.
Why give Ben Lamb any extra advantage?
1.2.
You heard it. Lamb bets $1.2 million.
That's polite of Lamb, verbalizing the bet since Bunara now cannot see that far with his glasses off. Belize fun fact of the day, Lon, population is 333,000, or roughly 1/5 the size of Manhattan. If the Upper West Side seceded from the U.S., it would be Belize.
With less coastline. Bunara makes the call for $1.2 million.
Ben keeps looking at him. Glasses back on for the river.
Lamb with the advantage until now. Bunara hits the ace-high flush and checks it.
Check.
Lamb checks back.
Oh, you didn't bite on this one? Sorry.
Yeah. The hand almost died.
No. You didn't bite on this one?
Bob means no harm, but slamming your cards down is just poor form, whether you're from Belize or the Upper West Side.
Lamb bet every street but the river. He knew when to slow down. And Bunara will pick up more chips.
That's the only hand you didn't bite on?
It's also poor form to keep riding your opponent after dragging a pot from him, but what the heck, it's the main event and Bunara is pumped up.
Bunara leapfrogs Ben Lamb on the chip count into 7th place.
It's tricky though. Making,
Very
the,
tricky,
making
right?
the nut flush and then checking.
A little bit.
Tricky. It's very
Sometimes.
tricky.
Sometimes.
Here in the United States, the rule at the poker table is English only. This year at the World Series, it's a good thing we have a lot of bilingual players. 85 different nations participated in the 2011 main event, and non-U.S. players made up 1/3 of the field, the largest percentage in World Series history. Norman, who would have thought that Texas Hold'em's humble origins would inspire a global phenomenon?
Poker was America's game. Well, we taught the rest of the world how to play, and now they're better than we are. How stupid could we be? Texas Hold'em should have been a state secret. Instead, this year we could have the first Belizean, the first Czech, and the first Ukrainian to make the main event final table. What's next, a galactic empire November 9er?
Rest easy, Norman. America's hopes for the main event are in good hands with Ben Lamb and Phil Collins, both in the top 9. Over to the secondary table. Phil Collins is seated with almost 19 million chips, 4th overall.
We're on day 8, and these players now have logged a lot of time with each other. They start to develop a pretty good feel for how each other plays. That's the beauty of my game, Lon. I bust so quickly, nobody can figure me out.
The mystery man is back for another try. Collins folds. Costa Mamaliatis gets rid of his hand. On the Jack Link's Beef Jerky hole cam, Scott Schwalek with ace-5 of spades.
He's an online veteran, says he's had to learn how to pace himself in live play. It goes a lot slower.
What a nice run he's had here. He raises to 525,000, folded to the small blind. Brian Devonshire with pocket 10s.
This man loves to be outdoors, Lon. What's he doing in here?
Part-time cowboy, part-time poker pro.
Actually, if he makes the November 9, maybe Devo will lobby for it to be played outdoors on Fremont Street like the 1997 final table famously was.
Oh, boy, that was a heated adventure. A raise to $1,520,000 from Devonshire.
And Schwalek holding on to his hoodie almost like a security blanket.
All in.
Schwalek puts Devo all in.
Side call.
And Devo makes the quick call. He's the one at risk, but Schwalek barely has him covered.
Schwalek got a bit overzealous there, thought Devo might be out of line, and Schwalek risked almost everything on the suited ace. Devo at risk.
All right, here we go to the flop. And the flop is all 4s. That gives Devo a boat, but that's all the 4s he wants to see.
Devo in great shape for a big double up. Schwalek now needs a 4, an ace, or a straight flush.
The turn card now. 7 of diamonds. Devo's still ahead in his double up bid.
Schwalek needs a 4 or an ace. Otherwise, Brian Devonshire doubles through and cripples him.
The river card. The queen of diamonds, and Devonshire will double up to $14.5 million. I'm happy just because those guys are going to stick around. So the popular Brian Devonshire healthy once again.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to get some exercise by greening his rail.
A lot of folks here to support Devo.
Devo basks in the glow of the double up. And you know, I think Schwalek wasn't sure whether he had chips left.
I thought for sure I was covered.
You're right, Norman. He thought he was headed out the door. He still has a seat, but only 2 big blinds remaining. Devo took a victory lap, but this race to the November 9 is far from over. Welcome back. Is Brian Devonshire's double up a sign of things to come? We'll find out tonight. We heard Ben Lamb talk about his elimination with 14 players left in the 09 main event. We remember it well. Lamb with the pocket aces. Makes it $1.2 million.
I'm all in.
Tray of diamonds, no help to Lamb. It's an 8 of hearts. Baglider wins that monster pot. As Ben Lamb tries to hang on, and that 7 will not do it for him. He's drawing dead. Ben Lamb eliminated in 14th place by Jeff Shulman.
I bet on Ben Lamb finishing in the top 13 2 years ago. I bet on him finishing in the top 13 this year. He better not let me down again.
Boy, fate would have to be very cruel indeed for him to go out 14th here. Still possible. Lamb folded, Holden folds to Pius Hines. 6-5 off. No thank you on the button. Matt Giannetti with pocket queens.
His older brother is a Michigan grad. His younger brother is a Georgia grad. Matt left the University of Texas after his sophomore year to pursue poker.
He still wears the Longhorn hat, though, and raises to $525,000. Bob Bunara folds a weak ace. In the big blind, the chip leader in the house, Anton Makievsky. Jack 10 off.
Makievsky with a mathematics degree.
He's only 21, but it seems the role of chip leader suits him very well.
Well, Ben Lamb finished 14th the year Joe Cata won. Makievsky trying to supplant Cata as youngest main event champ ever.
And he makes the call for $285,000 more, and we'll see a flop with Giannetti. Flop, tray 8, Jack, top pair for Makievsky, but he's still second best, and he checks.
Giannetti made his big chip move on day 7 at the expense of Hilton Laborda.
Giannetti with the queens, a 4-to-1 advantage. He bets $650,000.
Makievsky with top pair and some concerns.
But a lot of chips, so he can speculate a little bit, and he makes the call. Turn card, 5 of clubs, no help to the chip leader, Anton Makievsky. Checks again.
One of the safest boards you'd ever want to see for your pocket queens.
Giannetti started the hand with about $9.5 million. Makievsky almost $33 million.
Makievsky mesmerized by Giannetti's slow chip movement.
Giannetti puts together $1,425,000.
That doesn't look like check raising posture. Anton's body language is more like, should I call?
Anton trying to look under the hat for any clue into Giannetti's actions. You mentioned Hilton Laborda. He tried to do that, and Matt took all his chips. And there's a call from Makievsky.
I think it's hard to win poker hands when you're leaning over in that Hilton Laborda style.
All right, the river card. 6 of clubs. Giannetti's pocket queens hold up a quick check from Makievsky.
The instant check usually a sign of weakness, but I can't tell you how many times I've bet after an opponent checks quickly and then he check raises me. That's why I'm in the game.
Giannetti with the best hand.
Giannetti confident he has the best hand.
Yeah, 2.6 million confident.
Anton check called the flop, check called the turn, and just as seemingly sensed he's been beat start to finish.
His reads have been very strong so far in the main event, as we have witnessed on a number of occasions. And he gives up his hand there. Good read. And Matt Giannetti has almost 3 million new chips in his stack.
Always nice to collect a few chips from the chip leader.
A minor hit to the big stack of Makievsky. Giannetti now to 12.5 million chips on the final table bubble. He's impressed at the main event, though his introduction to the gambling world might surprise you.
My name is Matt Giannetti. I'm 26 years old, and I grew up about 10 miles from one of the most historic racetracks in the world.
Don't go to court without your lawyer. You don't go to the window without the tip sheet.
I remember growing up, you know, my parents and my 2 brothers would come up here and, you know, we placed our $2 bets on, you know, 9 races it was. And, you know, it wasn't often that we showed a profit. I mean, I don't expect to win. If I win, you know, great. But, I mean, it's more about just enjoying the afternoon here and, you know, with my brother and my girlfriend and, you know, my friend, you know. This is like one of the most famous trainers, like, all time. Can I get $100 on number 1 to win? First time I really thought that, you know, I really wanted to get in the world of gambling was when I started playing poker and was able to really consistently beat other people and be able to see that, you know, poker really is a game of skill. At the poker table, at the, you know, the level, you know, I play at and, you know, my friends play at, you know, we're there to make money and there's no you know, I'm gonna enjoy my day at the poker table. I want their money, and that's it. My brother's pick is coming in dead last right here.
If Matt had left school to bet horses, somebody should have tied him down. Nobody wins betting horses.
Action on Bob Bunar at the feature table. And he has the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand, Central American style.
You know, I walk into singles bars now and go, did you know I'm 11.5 for 28 on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hands this year? It's a great pickup line.
Bunara under the gun, raises to 600,000.
Pocket nines, baby. He's not messing around this close to the November 9, even though he did say he likes 7 deuce more than pocket aces.
All right, folded around to the small blind, Pius Hines. Queen 5 into the muck.
My other favorite pickup line in a bar is telling a woman, I know Lon McCarran.
Does that work?
No.
Pocket queens for Giannetti again.
That's sloppy dealing. He had the pocket queens in the previous hand we saw, never returned the cards.
Come on, they're different suits. Bunar opened the action to 600,000. Giannetti just with a call.
It will be heads up. Bunar looking at Matt. Maybe he's channeling Ben Lamb.
All right, here's the flop. Jack 7 Jack. Queens up for Giannetti. We know that much. He checks.
I don't think Bunar is messing around. So he's got B, pocket nines, or C, trip jacks.
And he makes a bet of 1.2 million.
Now, I don't think Bob would push the heart draw here, and I'll contribute $500 to the Lon McCarran Relief Fund if he raised under the gun with 7 deuce off.
All right, Giannetti with queens up. Makes the call for $1.2 million. These two players with nearly even stacks at this featured table. Turn card now. Ace of diamonds. Giannetti checks.
Bunar seems worried about that ace. Then again, we saw Bunar do some bad acting earlier in the main event when he had the nuts. He's on pocket nines.
Oh, well, they both tuck tail and wait for the river card. Tray of clubs. Giannetti immediately reaching for his stack. Giannetti with 525,000.
I don't understand that bet, Lon. What is that? 1/8 of the pot? It's an invitation to raise it and take it. Or it's begging for a call, but Matt doesn't have a monster. If Bernard does call here, it's pocket nines for sure.
It's about $1 million short of a value bet, isn't it? But there's the call from Bunara. And Bunara with 7 deuce, of course, loses the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand. 5 bills.
Good luck collecting. 7 deuce? I'm going to need a new pickup line. This guy killed me.
Matt Giannetti and 13 others in the home stretch.
Nice answer.
The immediate goal not to win or place, but to just make the show. Matt has the whip out. He's making a charge. The main event mixes amateurs and pros alike, and this year Belize's Bob Bunara has turned into one of the most memorable entrants.
Honestly, do I prefer 7 deuce off, 7 deuce off, 7 deuce off, 7 deuce off. I hit aces. I don't want to see what it is.
Before the break, we saw Bob play 7 deuce and lose to Giannetti. Aces can be your friend, Bob. All right, let's get over to the secondary table with ace 10. Owen OD can eliminate Scott Schwalek as Scott is all in with just Jack 10.
Schwalek crippled by Brian Devonshire and now on the edge of doom.
OD, the chip leader at this secondary table with over 26 million. Here's the flop. Queen deuce 6. OD still ahead with ace high.
Schwalek looking for a jack or runner straight or runner spades to stick around.
Turn card now. Schwalek looking for anything to help him. 5 of diamonds doesn't do it.
And now only a jack keeps Schwalek around. OD looking for the knockout.
The river card is a 10. That pairs both, but OD's ace kicker gives him the pot and sends Scott Schwalek to the payout cage.
Well, that's a casual way to win $500,000. You never take your left hand out of your pocket.
So Ben Lamb will not finish 14th. Scott Schwalek fills that hole, wins $478,000. OD over $28 million, good for second place with 13 players remaining, continuing his steady climb upward. Much has been made about his father Donica's success at the main event. Owen's father cashed 6 times here and made 2 final tables.
Look at that, 5 times in a 14-year span. Donica OD made it to the final 4 tables of the main event, and Owen's father also won a bracelet in 1998 in Pot Limit Omaha, beating Johnny Chan heads up.
Secondary table 6-handed now. Tournament officials will keep the players as evenly distributed as possible between the 2 tables. Action folded over to Owen OD with pocket 7s.
He's just behind Makievsky for the chip lead at the moment.
Over $28 million. Owen will raise with 500,000 of them. Collins with pocket queens.
Collins, an online monster, but says he's fallen in love with live poker. He likes the rhythm of it.
Collins with the button, just makes the call.
Actually, I think he likes the rhythm of getting dealt pocket queens in live poker.
No kidding. Costa Mamaliadis in the small blind, gives up his hand. Martin Stashko folds his big.
He'll be heads up, and these are 2 guys who just seem so even-keeled and laid back at the poker table.
Queens of Colin ahead of the 7s of OD. The flop, Trey 4 king. Neither player in love with that king out there, I'd imagine. OD checks. Collins checks as well.
I love when he checks by tapping his arm.
Turn card 5 of clubs gives OD a gut shot. And he checks again.
I'm surprised OD didn't bet. His 7s might be good, and why would he want to risk a big card hit in the river?
700,000 from Collins with the queens.
And of course, Phil should have bet as he just did. His queens are definitely king of this hand. If OD thinks he's beat right now, he's not getting the right price to call.
I guess he thinks his 7s are good.
Well, then why didn't he bet him?
He made the call. You are right about that. River card. Another 5. OD comes up short and checks again.
That river 5 is a pretty safe card for Collins and his pocket queens.
Collins has the purple chips in hand, 100,000 each. And those are worth $1.2 million.
A value bet, not as small as that incredibly crafty river bet we saw Giannetti make earlier with his queens against Bunara, but still a nice wager.
So now OD has to try to figure out what Collins is up to. He makes the call. And OD will come up second best, as many people do when Phil Collins is in the hand.
OD thought Collins was up to something. All he was up to was dragging a $5 million chip pot.
And there's the Phil Collins rail going to work. Collins stacking chips. Phil's rail getting louder, and why not? He's over 20 million chips.
Sorry about that. Come November, everyone will have a section like that.
Welcome back to the World Series of Poker main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. I'm Lon McCarron with Norman Chad and Kara Scott on this final night of the main event before the final table. Only 13 players remain, but only 9 will make it through the night. 21-year-old Anton Makievsky from Ukraine right there is our chip leader. He folds to John Hewitt. And Norman, it's official. Queens are an epidemic. Hewitt with a raise to 525,000.
There was Ben Lamb. He survived his personal bubble. He's bettered his 14th place finish of 09.
Folded over to Pius Hines on the button. Ace-7 of spades.
I'm still waiting for Hines to be dealt 5-7. It will happen, and it will be red. Hines, by the way, way overdue for a 3-bet.
And Hines will provide that right now.
Do I know my uber-aggressive 22-year-olds?
He makes it $1,175,000.
Hines has a 3-bet clock in his head that goes off every 7 minutes.
Nobody gets to play cheaply with Pius Hines. So folded back to Hewitt. And with the queens, he just calls.
Boy, we have seen pocket queens slow played, pre-flop again and again.
All right, these two heads up. The flop, deuce 4 king. Hewitt's queens are still good. Swing and a miss from Hines after Hewitt checked.
In an earlier pro analysis, we heard Phil Galfond talk about letting aggressive players do the betting for you when they have position. Hewitt content to do just that.
Hines got no spades, got no ace in that flop, but he does bet 950.
Hewitt trying to protect himself from Hines's incredibly pungent aftershave.
Hewitt just with a call.
Hewitt in command of this hand, but Hines without a care in the world with no pair and no draw.
Turn card. 6 of diamonds. Hewitt doesn't mind that card. He checks again.
Hines still with no pair and no draw, but that aftershave could choke a horse.
He's left with that and his aggression.
You gotta love this guy's game. Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead.
And now Pius Hines puts out $2,125,000.
Don't know if Hewitt's worried about the king. Don't know if he's letting Hines dig his own hole.
No, Hewitt calls pretty quickly there. And so Hines wondering if he's got another barrel left in him. The river card, 10 of clubs.
Check.
Hewitt checks a third time.
What will Pius do?
He reaches for chips.
Damn the November 9, full speed ahead. He's gonna fire again, Lon.
This guy has no quit in him. And now Hines puts out almost half the pot, $4.4 million.
It's one thing to let your aggressive opponent's posture, but the price gets steep, and Hewitt now in an awfully tough spot.
Yeah, he sees the overcard to his queens out there, plus a third club hit the board, and Pius Hines keeping the pressure on.
Hewitt began this hand with 18 million chips. Almost half of them would be gone if he called here and was beaten. You're this close to the November 9, and you've got to withstand all this heat with just one pair.
And there's the call. And Pius Hines mucks his hand, and John Hewitt takes a huge pot.
Come on! Just another terrific call by John Hewitt. We saw him make a similar fine call against Matt Giannetti on day 7. And Pius Hines bluffs off a boatload of chips.
Hewitt with a surge into second place. Hines drops down below 16 million now.
Nice call.
And he gives Hewitt props for the gutsy call. Hewitt withstood the pressure from Pius Hines, and now he's built his stack to over 27 million into second place, increasing his stack by 50% with that hand. Hines into 5th place, Lamb and Stashko sitting in 8th and 9th respectively.
Amateur Bob Munara now one slot off of the virtual November 9. Qual win in the red zone with just 15 big blinds left.
The average stack right now, 15.8 million. Back now to the feature table where the tournament chip leader Anton Makievsky sits. He is still the tournament chip leader, but just barely now over John Hewitt. Ace-6 off.
Anton wearing the same aquamarine jacket every day here at the main event. These guys on the cusp of becoming millionaires, yet they keep saving on laundry costs.
Makievsky raises to 550,000. Ben Lamb in the cutoff position, 10-4.
10-4 is nothing much. Nobody wants to give up on a pot. Why not just sit back and let the other predators prey on each other?
He does fold. It's folded over to Hines. He gives it up. In the big blind, Matt Giannetti with pocket 7s on the Jack Links beef jerky hole cam.
Giannetti moved to Las Vegas to eat, breathe, and sleep poker. Well, this is the right place.
Giannetti. 310,000 more. That's a call. And he will see a flop with the chip leader. 9-8 king. Giannetti still has the best hand, but all over cards flop to his 7s, and he checks.
And here comes the continuation bet per the hyper-aggressive player's manual.
650,000.
That's an awful board for pocket 7s.
And Giannetti gives it up.
The continuation bet takes it down. That hardly ever happens around here.
You have to give Anton credit. He is not sitting on his chip lead. He continues to put heat on his opponents. A raise pre-flop, a bet on the flop. It's nice when a plan comes together. 9 final table invitations go out tonight. The gold bracelet on everyone's mind, as is the $8.7 million first prize. There's our chip leader, a 21-year-old Ukrainian wearing the jacket of a bracelet-winning fellow countryman.
That's his college buddy, Alexei Kovalchuk.
Anton Makievsky with 30 million chips, and ace-jack raises to 550,000. Over to Ben Lamb with pocket 8s. Lamb with 13.5 million. No raise, just a call.
And not a ton of re-raising pre-flop lately. Players want to see the action develop. There's a huge difference between finishing 13th and finishing 9th.
The sigh of relief is because Hines is out of the hand. Giannetti folds, so Makievsky and Lamb heads up.
Ah, we meet again.
Can't do it, can we?
A failed attempt to stare each other down. Here we go to the flop. 6 king deuce. Makievsky misses that. Lamb's 8s are best. Makievsky checks.
You checked? 500.
Just like a reflex. You check, I bet. $500,000.
Well, Ben surprised Anton checked. So was I. Just because he checked doesn't mean he's checking out. There may not be a lot of re-raising pre-flop, but look at this. Guys just don't want to give up on pots.
There is a check raised to $1,400,000 from Anton.
And they just don't not give up. They aggress.
So Lamb will make the call with the 8s, a battle of wits and wills between two of the most feared players to emerge in the main event. Another 6 on the turn.
There's no let-up. I'm exhausted, Lon, and I haven't played a pot in weeks.
The turn card didn't help Anton, but he has a ton of chips. He bets $2.2 million. Ben Lamb with a rather casual call.
Lamb telling Anton, not on my watch, sonny boy.
Now the stare down is easy between these two. Almost $9 million in the middle. The river card is another king. So 2 pair on board. Makievsky with the ace. He checks.
Yes, I'm shocked he didn't fire again on the river. Don't bet, Ben. He'll check raise you, and then what will you do?
Lamb with a better 2 pair checks. Makievsky turns his hand. Lamb turns the winner.
Lamb survives the mini fusillade.
Anton used his ammunition to really put Lamb's faith in his pocket pair to the test. Lamb over 18 million. And with that, Makievsky drops into 3rd place overall with just over 26 million chips.
I think Makievsky should upgrade his sunglasses with his guaranteed $500,000 payday.
Makievsky with that loss no longer the tournament or the table chip leader. He's 3rd overall. John Hewitt is the table chip leader. Owen O'D is the tournament chip leader.
Ben Lamb's 2011 World Series bears repeating. He didn't cash in the first 5 events he played. Now he's cashed in the last 5 events he's played, including a bracelet and 3 final tables. The main event would be his 4th final table in his last 5 World Series events. And in the one event, he didn't make a final table. He finished 12th.
Lamb with king 8 of diamonds. It looked like he was going to raise. And he finally does. A raise to 675. Sam Holden with the smallest of aces into the buck. Pius Hines with 14.7 million chips and 10-7 of spades. Not 5-7.
Close.
A re-raise from Hines to $1,450,000.
When we are seeing a re-raise pre-flop, and Hines is a great example, it's not with strong hands. They're doing it with weaker hands to take it down right there.
The re-raise back to Lamb.
Make it 3.5.
Yeah, there's one reason Lamb's been so successful, and Hines can't fold fast enough.
Boy, Lamb just looked at Hines and read him right. Wow.
Ben Lamb hitting on all cylinders, reading well, being aggressive. He's now over 20 million, eclipsing his 09 performance, determined to make the most of his now twice in a lifetime opportunity. In the final $1,000 no-limit hold'em event of the summer, Max Leakoff emerged as the champion and became the 3rd Russian-born bracelet winner of 2011. And although Scandinavians have become a force in poker, none had won a bracelet this year until Sweden's Alexander Anter took 1st place in the final $1,500 no-limit hold'em event.
Now I just feel relieved. It's so much pressure.
This year's 1st place prize money in the main event is the 4th largest ever at $8.7 million. Compare that to the average 2011 1st place prize of about $477,000.
I can tell you that 12th place at this year's $1,500 stud 8 event paid $10,676.
Congratulations to you, Norman Chad. Brian Devonshire looks down at ace-5 offsuit. Devonshire with about $12.1 million in his stack. He raises to $510,000.
Who is responsible for the uproar in the background?
That man, Phil Collins, usually. It is folded around to Martin Stashko in the big blind with pocket eights.
Stashko barely survived the money bubble with 12,000 in chips, and according to Eric Lindgren, he folded about 40 hands in a row to do so.
Stashko makes the call.
You know, after the main event, I'm taking all these guys shopping. Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills, we're all going to look like $1 million.
You didn't win that much in your stud 8 event. The flop is 8-10 ace. Stashko flops a set and checks. Top pair for Devo, who better be cautious. Devonshire bets 420,000.
A dream flop for Stashko. He hopes Devo has an ace, and Devo does. Lon, I'm going to bring Marcel Lusk and Tony Dunst along on the shopping trip. We're going to make everybody here look like gentlemen.
I would love that. So costly to lose a hand at this stage of the game. Both of these players are not secure in their spot on the final table just yet. A check raise to $1,320,000 from Stashko.
And that check raise could be a wake-up call for Devonshire.
Some concern from Devo's fiancee, Corey Hinson.
No fiancée of mine wears a trash pail on her head.
None of them?
Good for you.
Devonshire not going away.
He ought to be folding, but it looks like he's raising.
He looks like he's raising. You are right. And he does re-raise to $2,920,000.
Well, if Stashko had Jack-9 or 10-9, we'd say Devo is a genius for getting more chips in on the flop. But the fact is, Martin is from Trinnic, and everyone knows that players from Trinnic do not check raise the flop without at least a set.
Martin with the best of it, trying to figure out how serious Devo is about this hand.
Raise.
And here we go with another raise to over $5 million, and Devo mucks his hand immediately.
Devo gets the message about 2.5 million chips too late.
Stashko now making a move into fourth place here with 17.6 million. Devonshire still on the virtual final table in ninth, but that one hurt. Phil Hellmuth now tells us whether Devo could have avoided that situation.
Ace 10-8, brutal flop for Devo, but look, it's not that brutal. He has aces with not much of a kicker, really. He gets checked to, he bets out. I like his bet on the flop, 420,000, fine. Stashko makes a nice little raise there. I like his raise there. But this was the big mistake in the hand. Devo with aces with no kicker. There's no flush draws. There's, I guess, a couple of straight draws. He makes a big re-raise in this hand, I guess, to find out where he's at. I don't think he had to re-raise that much to find out that he had the worst hand. If he has a great reading ability, maybe he could fold. But I think a lot of people would say he could call on the flop and then fold for a big bet on the turn. I just hate the fact that Devo put so much money into this hand with aces and no kicker. Mistake.
And Devo's got to hate that he gave away that many chips at this critical juncture of the main event. 4 eliminations away from the November 9. Devo now sits in 9th place and teetering a bit.
The blinds up to 150 and 300,000. The ante up to 40,000. One more payout at 478,000 bucks. Then it jumps up to 607,000. O&OD with pocket sevens.
The pressure mounts, Lon. Every decision magnified. Any bad decision can stay with you for the rest of your life.
O&OD with pocket sevens raises to 625. Costa Mamaliadis with 8 deuce.
Costa has not been active, and I can't believe he wants to get active with 8 deuce.
I'm all in.
The short stack raises all in for over 4 million.
Boy, that's an odd push.
How's the other? 4,020,000.
This is virtually an automatic call for OD, not much more than 10% of his stack to put Costa at risk.
Call.
OD does make the call, and will be quite happy to see he's in great shape against the 8 deuce.
Costa turned over the 8 deuce like it was pocket queens. The 34-year-old South African needs some luck here to hang around. 8 deuce.
OD trying to get us 12-handed. All right, here's the flop. No one time for Mamaliadis. Nothing in there for him.
8 deuce. I don't know. Mamaliadis looking for an 8 or a run or something soon.
Mars Callahan, the 94th place finisher in the main event, an interested bystander. Mamaliadis trying to double through OD. 6 of clubs on the turn, each player with a gut shot. So an 8's no good for Costa now.
Yeah, that would give OD a straight. Mamaliadis now needs a 7 to make his own straight. Of course, OD's got 2 of them.
All right, the river card. Costa at risk. There is the 8. Where was that a card earlier? O.D. Rivers a winning straight. Costa Mamaliadis scores big here in the main event, finishing 13th.
Oh, what a fabulous run for the amateur.
He wins almost $500,000. So one of the last amateurs takes his lead from the main event. A great tournament for the South African. Owen O.D. extends his chip lead. He's over $35 million with 12 players remaining.
Seriously? Phil Ivey in the World Series didn't know he had a flush. You know this, right?
Yeah, he didn't know. I lifted the same. I lifted the same part twice.
I understand.
I see 8 and 8.
No,
two red 8s.
I understand.
Thinking I've got pocket 8s, and it's a.
Phil Ivey misread his hand in the World Series. Everybody does it.
Well, Norman, now it makes a little more sense. Mamaliadis, talking to Mars Callahan, said he thought he had pocket 8s.
Now, what a horrible way to end a fabulous main event.
So back to the featured table. 2 6-handed tables in action now. Anton Makievsky has been moved to the secondary table. Folded over to Ben Lamb with Trey Deuce off. And he raises to 675. Go, Ben, go.
Poker strategy books will tell you to raise with more than premium hands, but I don't think they tell you to raise with among the worst of hands.
Giannetti in the big blind. On the Jack Link's beef jerky hole cam. Ace-9 off.
If Giannetti takes his left hand off his right arm, I believe he's incapable of functioning. We are 6-handed at each table right now, so hand ranges expand a bit.
And the short stack's under immense pressure. Giannetti calls, and we'll see a flop with Ben Lamb.
And as expected, the ace-9 off against the trade deuce off.
All right, here's the flop. Ace, deuce, 9. Top 2 pair for Giannetti. Bottom pair for Lamb. Giannetti checks.
Giannetti will sit on his monster and let Lamb do the bidding.
Now he knows Ben Lamb well, because Lamb bids $700,000.
And some of Ben's chips, I think, are still rolling down Flamingo Road from that last bet. Very sloppy.
Giannetti. What does he do with top 2 pair? He's got Ben on the hook. Just a call.
Giannetti following the blueprint of letting the aggressive players aggress. He's got Lamb right where he wants him.
Turn card, 7 of diamonds, misses both players. Giannetti still with a monster advantage, checks again.
Giannetti hoping to induce another bet from Lamb.
Ben says, not this time. River card is the deuce of hearts. Wow, Lamb Rivers trips.
It's good to be Ben Lamb.
Giannetti checks a 3rd time. 3 hearts on the board. Ben Lamb with the best of it. Bets a nice, neat $4 million.
Quite in contrast with his sloppy flop bet. Ben overbets the pot. A 2-outer. Matt Giannetti could have no idea what just hit him.
That flop ace is up.
Well, if you're Giannetti, you might think that Lamb maybe got there with a heart flush. And if he calls here, it is for 30% of Giannetti's remaining chips.
Giannetti put to a very difficult decision.
Yeah, this is where you reconstruct the hand and the action. And in doing this, I don't see how Giannetti envisions a deuce in Ben Lamb's hand.
Giannetti got very healthy in this main event against Hilton Laborda. This is not Hilton Laborda. This is Ben Lamb. Giannetti cutting out some chips.
Well, I empathize with Matt Giannetti's plight, but this is where we need a shot clock in poker.
Ben loves to see Matt squirming.
It's a tough one.
With the final table so close. Giannetti calls. Trip deuces for Ben Lamb will take the pot.
It's good to be Ben Lamb.
Ben Lamb takes a monster pot from Matt Giannetti. Giannetti down below 10 million.
Giannetti thought he might be beat, but I don't think he expected to see trade deuce.
And Ben Lamb now in 4th place with over 26 million.
It's been the year of Ben Lamb. That was a long road to nowhere for Matt Giannetti.
What a clash between these two 26-year-old pros, and the Player of the Year leader comes out of the fray in much better shape. So as the November 9 comes more into focus, ONOD has taken control. He leads with almost $35 million. Ben Lamb just moved into 4th place after capitalizing on a lucky river deuce. These 3 players on the outside looking in. Ben is with Kara Scott right now.
When you're waiting for Matt to make his decision, what's going through your head?
Well, when I had a deuce, I was thinking, please call. But normally I'm just trying not to give off anything. Just sit there, sit still as I can. You know, he's a really good player, played a lot of live. And if I do anything, like, I wanted to call the clock on him. It's taking so long. But I feel like if I call the clock on him, he's going to think I'm trying to make him call, and then he's going to fold. And definitely wanted to call. So, yeah.
We're going to be very short-handed here, and we are very short-handed. Does that favor you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I played a lot of shorthanded. I played a lot of live shorthanded, no limit especially, cash games and such. And because they're so deep, it kind of plays more like a cash game than a tournament. So, yeah, I like my current table and how it's set up.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Back to you, Lon.
Wild last hand sets up a mad dash to the November 9. The final table picture has gotten clearer.
Nice hand, sir.
Nice call. Nice hand, man.
But there's still some fine-tuning left. 12 players remain with spots for just 9.
Can't do it, can we?
The final table is so close. You should be afraid.
I busted 14th in this before. I lived.
You're really the luckiest player in the world.
3 more to go before we play for the bracelet. For Norman Chad and Kara Scott, I'm Lon McCarron. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.